We've got a fantastic lineup, everybody. We've got four incredible, really dynamic speakers who are going to share with us today about really what the future of JD Edwards looks like. And so while we go through this journey today, we're going to hear various stories both from EmeraldCube about our background, also from Oracle, what the actual future of JD Edwards looks like coming from Oracle themselves. We'll hear a bit about what the actual implementation of taking JD Edwards into the cloud looks like, and then we'll hear a story of success that revolves around that as well. A couple housekeeping notes. So real quick, you'll see in the bottom right-hand corner of all the slides, we've got a URL, slido, slido.com. If you pull out your phones, bring up a browser, go to slido.com. You can even go to sli.do. And this will be the way that we queue up our Q&A questions. So undoubtedly, we'll have a lot of questions near the end of today. We're going to try to queue those up. But we'd like you to submit them through slido.com. You're going to enter session 5784. Again, this will be in the bottom right-hand corner of all the slides for your reference. So if you bring up your browser, go to slido.com, we'll be able to queue up those questions. Please also, in the username box or the user box, go ahead and put your email address there if you will. If we don't get to your question, we'll be happy to follow up with you to go into any deeper details. This next gentleman is someone that I am very pleased to be able to introduce. Before I get to that, one other quick housekeeping note, just thought of. We have session cards that we had passed out at the doors. We have 5 Amazon.com gift cards to give away, each in the denomination of $100, I think. So it's a nice little take home. We'll pass out 5 of those. During the Q&A, I'll remind all my fellow cubers here to go to the outsides of the aisles and you'll pass your cards down to the end. We'll gather those up and we'll do a drawing. So please keep that in mind. Go ahead and fill those out throughout the session. All right, so this gentleman that I will introduce next, I've had the good fortune of working with him for the past 10 years. He's a man that I learn a lot from regularly. He's become a good friend. I have the opportunity on occasion to beat him at ping pong at EmeraldCube, which is saying something because I'm not in the top ranks of all the fellow pongers at the Cube. Please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Todd Kromzak.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm jacked up. This is awesome. Thank you all for coming. Hey, big hand for DJ Jenna. We wanted to try a little something different, so we thought it would be fun to have Jenna playing some music while you guys were coming in to kind of get the mood going. We're a little bit different because we are a little bit different company. When my partners Craig and Marcelo came to me and said, hey, what do you think about taking on the super session this year at Collaborate? I lead all the sales efforts at EmeraldCube, and I'm a greedy sales guy. So of course I'm going to want to get up here and talk about our business for a couple minutes. Now, just a couple minute overview of our business, and then we'll get on to the presentation. But when you look at our company, we like to think that we're seen in a different light. Of course, we provide project services for JD Edwards customers, upgrades, migrations from World to E1, process improvements. But project services is just a small part of our business. The foundation of EmeraldCube is built on managed services, and that's managed services across all of the resource types that a customer would need: CNC technology, project functional resources, as well as developers. Managed services provides us with that predictable stream of revenue so that we can go out and build novel products for the JD Edwards customer base. The flagship product of our business is a product called Emerald Prism. Emerald Prism is a proactive CNC monitoring tool. It's made up of a number of different modules that help both our managed services team proactively manage and support our customers' environment, but also we sell that product ad hoc and have over 100 customers around the world using Emerald Prism. Also built on the Emerald Prism platform is a proactive monitoring tool that we call Fraud Patrol. Fraud Patrol monitors accounts payable as well as payroll, and it looks for suspicious transactions where if folks outside of those user roles change a sensitive piece of data, salary, bank account number, social security number, Fraud Patrol will alert a company's auditors to the change that has occurred in their JD Edwards environment. Moving along with the same theme of security is our product Encrypto, which allows JD Edwards customers to selectively encrypt their JD Edwards data. So instead of having to encrypt your whole database and using up all that space, you can go in and selectively encrypt salary information, social security numbers, bank accounts, what have you. The problem that we're trying to solve there is to keep prying eyes away from sensitive information within your internal teams, as well as if you get hacked and they extract your data, all they'll pull out is encrypted data. You can kind of see an arc or a theme that we present from our project services, managed services, our products, Prism, Fraud Patrol, and Encrypto. We take all of those and we bundle those into a managed cloud offering that we're going to expound on today called Emerald Cloud. Emerald Cloud is built on the Amazon Web Services platform. We are one of the few Oracle JD Edwards partners in the world that is a fully certified AWS partner. So we take our support and our products and we bundle it on the AWS platform and provide our customers hosting of JD Edwards on Emerald Cloud. Real quick, we have a business intelligence group where we've partnered with Good Data. It allows our customers to export their data to the cloud. We have built JD Edwards specific data warehouse subject matter, financials, distribution, manufacturing, and customers can have a conversation with that data without hardware, software fees, or upgrades in our Emerald Vision solution. And then finally, because we had some time on our hands, we developed an IoT solution called Emerald Sensor. It is the only end-to-end IoT solution, sensor, gateway, as well as the visualizations and dashboards with our Emerald Vision solution that allows customers to either proactively create preventative maintenance work orders or complete manufacturing work orders on the shop floor. So you can see with our project services, managed services, and the products that we bring to bear in the ecosystem, we're a different kind of partner. I do have one small housekeeping item. On your session cards, you'll see a check mark for Cubology. We have a recurring campaign of pushing educational information out to the ecosystem. No sales guy will call you, and that's our way of giving back to the community and providing information to our JD Edwards customers and prospects. Mr. Harms?
Thank you, Mr. Kromzak. For our next portion of the session, we've heard a little bit about the background of the Cube and what makes us EmeraldCube. Thanks, Todd, for sharing that. For this next part about the story about JD Edwards and where it's going into the future, directly from Oracle themselves, we have a guest who needs no introduction amongst this group of fellow JD Edwards folk here in the Super Session room today. He would have liked to be with us on stage this afternoon, but the Executive Summit calls, and so Mr. Lyle Ekdahl is not able to be here today, but he had asked if he could record a personal message to the audience about JD Edwards, what's coming, where it's going, and the bright, bright future of the ERP system we know and love. So here, join me for about 8 minutes or so to hear a message from Oracle themselves about JD Edwards, Lyle Ekdahl.
Well, thank you for that kind introduction, Jeremy. And hello, JD Edwards customers. While I assume you're JD Edwards customers, although we've been known to have interlopers because we're such a great group to be around. But I'm Lyle Ekdahl, Senior Vice President and General Manager for Oracle's JD Edwards. And I want to talk to you today about the future of JD Edwards. In this short message, I want to take you on a journey. The journey, frankly, that we're all taking together. A journey where JD Edwards is a platform for digital transformation, for innovation, and to support hybrid clouds. Have you started your journey? We see that Enterprise One 9.2 is really a gateway to that journey. Did you know that 90% of our install base are on the 9s? That means a release that starts with the number 9. But there's a release that is now standing out above them. There's over 2,500 unique company downloads of 9.2. The release has proven to be one of the highest quality and highly functional releases we've ever had in the history of JD Edwards. This is why we think 9.2 becomes a platform on which we can build to the future for Enterprise One. Have you started your digital business journey? I'll tell you, digital business is not post-it notes around your screen at the office. Digital business is not writing down data that then is later manually transcribed into JD Edwards. That's error-prone, it's inefficient, and often it is not real time. It's too late for the needs of the business. Digital businesses, to contrast, are connected, they're agile, and they're real time. They take and apply technologies to build new business models, processes, software and systems that result in more profitable revenue, greater competitive advantage, and higher efficiency. Digital business is really more than the technology. It is about the business. But technologies are associated with digital business transformation. Take a look at the change in the world of mobile and what mobile tools and applications can do to help us bring ERP and JD Edwards to the point of process. It is about connecting everything in our enterprise, so the Internet of Things and connected devices play an increasingly important role. Platforms are needed on which to build shareable digital capabilities. Cloud solutions can help enable that, as well as app marketplaces. Analytic tools and applications, including big data, can help us make sense of all the information that we're collecting. And social media tools and applications can help us collaborate broadly across the supply chain. All of these capabilities are available from JD Edwards in 9.2 today. There are 4 customer success trends that I would like to reference. I talk to a lot of customers on a regular basis, and these 4 trends are starting to really stand out. The first one, we see a progression of world customers now moving to Enterprise One in greater numbers than we've ever seen before. They're migrating to Enterprise One as their standard for their industry solutions, and they again are looking at that as a platform to help them project mobile capabilities. Great example is our longtime customer in the ag business space, Murphy Brown. Another trend is JD Edwards as a platform for innovation. We have customers that are embracing the Internet of Things to evolve their manufacturing into smart factories. There we have customers that are leading the way, like Trek. Here's another trend. JD Edwards as a platform hub for hybrid clouds, pulling together on-premise, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service capability, and as well as best-of-breed software as a service for business process modernization. We've got a great new customer, Glory Global, that's here with us this week at Collaborate. And finally, the last trend I want to share is JD Edwards as a platform for expansion and extension, taking ERP to new places, broader and deeper within your organization, upgrading to leverage new ERP functionality and gaining competitive advantage. Again, longtime customer Balfour Beatty is leading the charge in this particular trend. With that, I want to say that the JD Edwards team, the Oracle team, we're listening. It's a new world of business agility out there, and we need to break down barriers between people, businesses, and things. We're really working hard by listening to help build that bond of trust with you, our customers, by delivering what you want. Here's what I've heard repeatedly. Customers want less disruptive upgrades. Customers need stronger ROI for an upgrade investment that they make. Customers want longer support timelines, and customers want a commitment from JD Edwards on that support and the continuous enhancement of their solution. So with that, you may have already heard, we announced a new support model that fits in with our existing lifetime support model. For both Enterprise One and World, we have declared 2 releases as our continuous delivery releases. Enterprise One 9.2 support has now been announced through at least 2028, and World support has been announced through at least 2025 on A9.4. Oracle support programs are designed to give you a complete confidence that your applications are protected, supported, and provide a foundation from which you can move forward. These Oracle programs and policies afford you confidence. Our lifetime support policy has been in place since the beginning, and it is the most generous in the industry. That model in its base form you should be familiar with. Every major release from its general availability is given a premier level support for 8 years. That's really 5 years of premier support and then an additional 3 years in which we extend, sometimes at an optional uplift. And then after that, we provide sustaining support on that release for as long as you want to run it. What we've been able to do with this continuous delivery model is add a new tool to our support kit. Enterprise One on 9.2 is now supported 10 years from its GA date in a premier capacity with an optional 3 years of extended after that, taking the total support to 13 years. And World A9.4 is 7 years from its general availability, plus the additional 3 years of extended support. This policy on these 2 releases will be reviewed annually based on the enhancements that we're adding to these 2 platforms. And that's why I say the release is supported at least through the dates I mentioned. So, along with this, JD Edwards has a new way of delivering software. And we have proven this out for the last 2 years on the JD Edwards Enterprise One 9.2 release. It's a continuous delivery model, where 2, 3, sometimes 4 times a year we deliver new enhancement packs or updates to the software. These new continuous development capabilities are much easier for you to consume, and they contain everything from new technologies and innovations to even new industry modules. You decide when you take on these new features. It's up to you. You have the choice and control. And we are also simplifying the tools so that it becomes even easier for you to consume these capabilities and move from update to update and become a truly agile organization. So, what solutions you choose, that's up to you. JD Edwards is the platform you own, and your teams can work to help you map your business goals to the solutions that provide the most value to you and help transform your organization into a truly digital business, all at a pace that makes sense for you. Thanks for taking time with me today. I look forward to speaking with you further about the future of JD Edwards. And now back to you, Jeremy.
So many thanks to Oracle and specifically Lyle for bringing us a message about JD Edwards as it evolves into the future. In this next part of the super session, we're going to transition for how does that journey actually take shape within the cloud? What's it look like to move JD Edwards, and not just JD Edwards alone, into a hosted cloud environment? For those particulars, I'm going to turn it over to a gentleman a lot smarter than I am. It's another person I've had the pleasure of working with for the past 10 years, probably one of the smartest people that I know. A man who, amongst this room, also may not need much introduction. He's a man who, as far as our ping pong battles go at EmeraldCube, had surgery on his right hand, his ping pong playing hand, taught himself to play with his left hand, and still manages to beat me, which I don't know if it's saying much about me or more about Marcelo. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Marcelo Thomas QA.
Very nice. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Jeremy, for the introduction. Excited to be here. You guys heard Lyle talking about the future of JD Edwards. I've been working at JD Edwards for a long time. I love this product, so excited to be talking about what the future holds for JD Edwards. So before I talk about the future of JD Edwards, I do have to address some of the things I heard this week. So I got here on Saturday, and throughout the week, I heard people saying things that are like, that doesn't sound quite right about JD Edwards. So I'm going to address some of those and try to debunk some of the things that are being said, and especially our competition, SAP and the other ones are putting on talking to customers about. So the first thing we hear a lot is Oracle no longer sells JDE, so they won't continue to support it, right? So you guys heard from Lyle. That's not true. I mean, you heard a statement, we'll be supporting JD Edwards through 2028. Very strong commitment from JD Edwards, so that's just not true. The other piece that we hear a lot is Oracle no longer is investing in JD Edwards. Are you kidding me? 921, UX1, IoT Orchestrator, so many new enhancements. Also not true, right? Next one, all customers will migrate to ERPX. And depending who I talk to, ERPX is Oracle Cloud Apps, is SAP, is NetSuite. So we don't believe that. We believe you guys have been running JD Edwards for a long time. You made significant investment in the ERP, in getting JD Edwards to mold and work with your business. There's tremendous risk for moving to another ERP. And quite honestly, JD Edwards is pretty good. There's not a lot that it's lacking that justifies the risk and the investment to make that transition. So we also don't believe that's true. Now, one of my favorite ones is, this is the last collaborate for JDE. I'm going to miss you guys, I have to say. I mean, I enjoyed coming here so many years. I've done so many sessions. Of course, that's total nonsense. Quest has a really nice arrangement already for next year and years to come. So I hope I'll be here in a few more years presenting to you guys. I intend to be coming here as long as I can, and Jeremy invites me to come over. So those are the things that we hear. The one question that I get that is a little bit harder and takes more time to debunk is people say, well, but JD Edwards is legacy. JD Edwards is not modern. So I got tired of hearing that. And I said, let's talk to CIOs, customers, and employees and understand what do they mean by modern ERP. So we came up with a checklist of what a modern ERP is. And I think a lot of you will agree with this. We talked to a lot of people to get that list together. And I'm going to go one by one and show and prove to you guys that JD Edwards is a modern ERP, that we fulfill all those requirements. The very first item on the list, a modern and personalized user interface and user experience. I mentioned earlier, Cafe One, UX1, the JD Edwards web client is as fast as performant as any other ERP in the space, and has been for a long time. So we have that, so we can check that box. Mobility, a lot of emphasis on mobility, a lot of clients taking over, mobile applications, tablets on the field. JD Edwards has over 100 mobile apps on the Apple Store and the Google Play Store. We definitely have that, easy. Now, support for modern business practices, right? Depending on your industry, depending on what your company does, this might be different. But think about watch lists and springboards on UX1. Think about online financial integrity, financial reconciliation. A lot of different things have been done in the product to support modern business practices. The Oracle product team has done a good job of continuing to improve this product to make it relevant for all the different industries. This is definitely something that JD Edwards can handle. Scalability. We talk about scalability, people think I'm going to talk about bits and bytes because I usually present in technical sessions, but this is not what I meant here. I'm talking about, can the ERP scale with your business? What if you acquire another company? What if you have one branch plant, one factory, you're going to expand? We have some of the largest companies in this country running JD Edwards. JD Edwards can do it. We're yet to find a business requirement that JD Edwards cannot fulfill. Sometimes it's a little customization, but it definitely can be done. So the product can scale. From a technical perspective, we have customers with close to 7,000 concurrent users in JD Edwards, and it works. No issues. It performs well. So we can check that box. The next one is cost. So this is one of the areas that I really think JD Edwards shines. As a product, as a license, the add-ons, the support fees, it's not that expensive if you compare to other ERPs. But where it really shines is the TCO, the cost to maintain and operate JD Edwards. I have an interesting story for you guys. We have a customer that they have multiple divisions, all running SAP. And one of their divisions running JD Edwards. They hired us to do their upgrade. So we upgraded them, and the go-live date, I was doing all the CNC work. We had another functional resource and a developer. That's the project, that's the team for the upgrade. So first day of go-live, we're there on site, and comes the global CIO, right? He managed all the other ERP, SAP, and all of that. He comes into the room and says, so how's it going, guys? And I said, oh, it's great. And he said, oh, can I meet the project team? And I said, well, that's it. It's us. And he couldn't believe. He said all the other go-lives in all the other divisions, even smaller divisions, had at least 12 SAP resources to support that go-live. So we see this all the time. JDE Edwards is very robust and is somewhat inexpensive to maintain, especially if you compare it to the alternatives in the market. The next item to JDE Edwards that it definitely complies, and I think this is probably where JDE Edwards also shines, is flexibility, processing options, versions, user overrides. Now 921, you can hide fields from screen, you can create custom grids. There's a lot of flexibility in the product. I know sometimes that can backfire. I know customers that have 4,000 or 5,000 customizations in JDE Edwards, but it can be done, right? You can make that decision. You control that. The product can do. If it doesn't do, you have to make a decision. Am I going to customize that or not? So JDE Edwards as a platform, as Lyle mentioned before, it can do. It supports a lot of parameterization, configuration. It's a very flexible product. So we can check that box as well. Another area that JDE Edwards has really improved in the last few years is interoperability. BSSV, right? Web services, SOAP, XML, AIS, you can use REST, JSON, RTE, pushing events, notifications, Z files if you want to search things to the database. So JDE Edwards does it all. You know, I have a lot of friends in the SAP business, in the e-business. JDE Edwards is as good as any of the other ERPs in this space when it comes to integration. Fairly easy to integrate, very robust capability. So we can check that box as well. Security is another item that the CIOs told us should be on the list. If it's a modern ERP, it has to be secure. So ask, what exactly does that mean? So that means that you have control to granularly hide, select fields, rows, columns. JDE has been doing that for decades, right? Security workbench, you can go in, you can hide, do whatever you want. But in the last 3 to 5 years, Oracle has put a lot of emphasis in security. So you can now encrypt all the communication between all the components, right? You can have your web server, of course, exposed to SSL, communicating with encrypted to the application server and all of that. So JDE Edwards supports all the security, the latest security standards, and it's a very secure ERP. So we'll check that box as well. Proven and reliable. JDE Edwards has been around longer than I have. So if it wasn't proven and reliable, we wouldn't be here, right? This is the proof. I mean, a lot of companies have been using a lot of different industries. It works. It's stable. It operates. If you configure it properly, it will perform very well. So it's very proven and reliable. So another box that we can check. As you can see here, we are looking pretty good so far. The next one is globalization and localization. If you're an international business, you need to have Mexican localization. You need to have, Japan localization. JDE Edwards has over 20 localizations and over 20 different languages supported. So very robust. If you are operating in other countries, we have that. Easy. IoT support. A lot of companies are now connecting their factories, connecting devices into their ERP. IoT Orchestrator came out not too long ago, enables you to natively connect to JDE Edwards. Some of you might have attended some of the sessions I presented earlier this week on this topic. So it was probably one of the first ERPs in the Oracle space that had that capability. Next on the list, built-in analytics. OneView Reports is probably now 6 or 7 years old. A lot of customers are running. You can embed charts and graphics straight into your applications. You can use Café One to do the same thing. So you can have those analytics right there at the fingertips for your end users. So we have that as well. As you can see, still looking pretty good. So the last item on the list is cloud ready in SaaS. JDE Edwards is not SaaS, right? You buy the license, you install. But I'm going to tell you a little bit more about how you can run and manage JDE Edwards. Pretty similar, very, very close to what you do if you were using a SaaS application, which is really my next topic. We're calling this JDE Edwards as a service. Todd called this earlier Emerald Cloud. So Emerald Cloud is our managed cloud offering. We have JDE Edwards configured, installed on Amazon Cloud. From a customer perspective, all that you get access to, you have your URL, you can use JDE Edwards, and your developers have access to development fat client machines. So you use JDE Edwards. You don't have to maintain or worry at all about JDE Edwards or backups on infrastructure. We partner Amazon with that. They handle all the infrastructure items, everything from storage, servers, virtualizations. We come in maintaining the operating system, the database, and on top of the database, we use our encrypto technology. So we encrypt all the sensitive data that you have in JDE Edwards, so it's protected. Even if someone penetrates to that system, it's protected. Then you have your WebLogic, your WebSphere, of course JD Edwards itself. We manage this whole stack. On top of JD Edwards, we had all our monitoring tools. Fraud Patrol, Todd mentioned before, proactively monitoring your data to detect anomalies and fraud and sending alerts to your auditors, your controllers. And Emerald Prism, which is now in over 100 accounts globally, our monitoring tool, our CNC monitoring tool. So we combine all of that expertise into this offering we're calling Emerald Cloud. So why AWS? Why Amazon? So we have been using and developing our capabilities with Amazon for over 5 years now. I have the Gartner Magic Quadrant over here. They have been in the top right corner, the leaders corner, for over 10 years. They've been doing this for a long time. Maybe this is the second or third time you hear about them, but they've been doing this for a very long time. One of the facts that I think it's interesting, most people don't know this, is the AWS business unit, part of Amazon, last year had close to 1.5 million active paying customers. So think about this, 1.4 plus million companies using AWS. They were approximately 13 billion in revenue. They're already on track to a lot more than that for 2017. They have over 70 services. I'm going to show you a little bit about them. And the one statistic that blows my mind, on any given day in 2016, they have deployed at least 100,000 servers. So picture this. Every day, Saturday and Sunday, 100,000 new servers. So it's insane. So they've been in this space for a while. And Gartner estimates that Amazon has 10 times the scale and the capacity of all the other 14 competitors combined. So how crazy that is, right? Think about this. Azure, Rackspace, all the other competitors. They're 10 times bigger than all the top 14 combined. That's crazy. The other interesting point is, really, if they were an independent company, they would be the fastest growing multi-billion enterprise in the US. They're growing over 55% year over year. And it's estimated that right now they own over 45% of the cloud market. So that's why we decided to partner with Amazon. JD Edwards has an open platform statement. Of course, we support JD Edwards in other clouds and other platforms, but this is who we decided to partner with for the JD Edwards as a service offering. I mentioned 70 different services. You know, you start working with Amazon, you log in, you see this console, and you're like, ooh, there's a few icons. And then you start clicking, and then you realize there are a lot more icons. And then you start learning about them, you start getting comfortable, and then you realize there are a lot more. So it's very broad, very broad range of services and capabilities. Everything from computing to analytics, development tools, database services. So there's a lot. And the way we do this, we collect and we use multiple services, we combine them to create the environment, the footprint for our customers. Amazon Global Infrastructure, we can't talk about AWS without talking about one of its key differentiators, which is its global presence. This chart is 2 weeks old, and last night I learned it's already outdated. So Amazon has geographic regions that they operate. In the US, they have 5. They have one in Canada that says coming soon. Well, it's now GA. So it's hard to keep up. We create these slides and they're always releasing new things. Each one of those regions has one or more availability zone. And this is an Amazon concept. And each availability zone has a group of data centers. So the best way to think about this, think about a region. A region has availability zones. Availability zones have data centers. Why is this important? Within an availability zone and actually within a region, all the data centers are connected in a super fast way. So just like your local network connectivity. So I can have my application server running in one availability zone, and I can have my database running in another one that is maybe 50 miles apart. And it works. And that's how we deploy JD Edwards on AWS. We spread that across multiple availability zones. So out of the bat, you get high availability, right? Because you're spreading that. We use load balancing and all of that to guarantee uptime, but this is one of the key differentiators for AWS in this space, the ability to do deployments like that. So why are customers migrating to Emerald Cloud, to JD Edwards on AWS? They want to get out of the hardware business, right? IT should be focusing on the business. We have some customers that do a good job of getting all the IT competency and align that with their customers' needs and create technology for their own customers. So the role of IT has to shift from managing hardware and servers to being a differentiator in your space. You shouldn't be worried about switches, SAN, storage, or anything like that anymore. It doesn't make sense. Also, you have one vendor. You don't have no more finger pointing. The DBA said this, the storage guy said that, the CNC said this, the developer said that, right? You eliminate that. You don't need to get in the middle of that. There's no need to. AWS platform allows us to expand and contract as needed. We can set up what's called auto-scaling groups, and your infrastructure can grow as needed. As your workload grows, it can grow automatically. New servers can come in automatically. Just like that, if you don't have activity in the middle of the night, you can contract. You can have things configured to automatically contract. The benefit here is you optimize your resource consumption and consequentially your bill at the end of the month. We have been working in JDE Edwards for a long time. So Emerald Cloud really combines our JDE Edwards expertise with our Amazon expertise. So this is really where we combine those two together. As I mentioned before, AWS is the #1 cloud provider and has been for the last 10 years. So that's a lot of customers talk to us because they want to use AWS or already use AWS in another part of their business. We use AWS military-grade encryption combined with Encrypto to have all your sensitive data encrypted. So if someone penetrates one of the servers, there's nothing that they can really steal from you because everything is encrypted. Since we deploy this across multiple data centers, built-in high availability. But if you want to set up disaster recovery, I want to move all my data to Frankfurt or to Australia, you can do that. It's not that hard to create a plan and set up a few things and start transferring your data somewhere else overseas. Pretty straightforward. As I mentioned before, we combine our monitoring capabilities, Emerald Prism, Fraud Patrol, so we can really protect our environment. We know what's going on at any given time. We have very strict SLAs, so we pass through Amazon SLAs, so there are guarantees for performance and guarantees for availability, and that's passed through to the customer. We also have guaranteed response time on tickets and requests that you guys contact us for issues. It's very price competitive because you don't have to oversize. You can size it, play with it, adjust as you go until you get to the right size, and then at that point you can lock in if you want to. If not, you can keep going. On demand, you can grow as needed. It's not an issue. And finally, we've been talking about JDE Edwards, but it's not just JDE Edwards. All the customers that we have migrated have moved other applications to AWS over time. So really, those are the 12 reasons. What I really want to leave you guys with is, JDE Edwards is well positioned for the future. And when you combine JDE Edwards with the public cloud, you can really compete with any SaaS, ERP, or solution in the market space. Really. Jeremy?
Marcelo, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think that last point's a very key one. Marcelo outlined the technologies and the capabilities that help take that vision of JDE Edwards of the future into the cloud and how it takes shape in the cloud. And I think that's a really important point as you learn about the company that our next speaker, our final portion of our super session, will speak to us about today. So a little bit of background about LSB Industries, where our speaker is from. This is a large, publicly traded chemical company manufacturing, producing chemical products for the agriculture, mining, industrial industries. They're headquartered in Oklahoma City. And as it pertains to the project that we worked on together with LSB Industries, there were some pretty interesting key points. Not only did we migrate JDE Edwards itself to the cloud, but the entire corporate infrastructure to Emerald Cloud on AWS. So Michael had the foresight and thought to go ahead and move everything all together at the same time. This involved multiple ERPs, multiple locations, multiple integration points. It was JDE Edwards, as well as big applications like Hyperion, EPM, or Enterprise Performance Management. Interestingly enough, they started at 62 servers on-prem, able to scale down to 28 due to the efficiencies of once we were able to move into the cloud-based environment. We had an upgrade as thrown in there as well, upgrading from 9.1, I believe, to 9.2. So let's add that to the docket. And doing so all within 3 months, which I think is a truly great story. So this next speaker, we have the honor and the privilege to have the Vice President and CIO of LSB Industries today with us, Mr. Michael Sullivan. Michael?
You can be the greatest, you can be the best. can be the King Kong banging on your chest. You can beat the world. You can win the war.
Thanks, Jeremy. I appreciate that. So, since we're in Vegas, I'm going to gamble a little bit here. I'm going to start this off. I have a question for everybody. Does anybody in the audience share my birthday of January 21st? Anybody have a birthday on January 21st? There we go. Perfect. Did you know that the odds are greater than 100% of two people having the same birthday if there's more than 30 people in the room? If there's more than 100 people in this room, those odds are 1,300%. That's pretty good odds for Vegas. That always amazes me, and I always wanted to try that in a big group. Thank you. So what are the odds that one of your company's board members would come to you today and tell you to keep your company out of the cloud? I want you to think about that. That happened to me not too long ago, but I'm going to get back to that story in a minute. So when Todd called me a couple of months ago and asked me if I'd be willing to talk about our migration to the cloud at Collaborate, I calmly and politely told him I would be happy to do so. But on the inside, I was excited. I mean, this is cool. Come on, we just moved our entire corporate infrastructure to the public cloud, including our JD Edwards ERP system. And we did that all in 3 months. I mean, I wanted to talk to anybody who would listen to me about this. I even wanted to talk to my kids about this. Okay? Can you believe that I actually tried to talk to my kids about my Collaborate presentation? Anybody out there have teenagers? A lot of you? Okay, you're going to understand this. First of all, I had to get my phone out and text them to try to get them to come down to the living room and talk to me about this presentation. Okay? You want to see their responses? These are my kids' texts to me. Socks? YouTubers? And my daughter just wants to go to Hawaii? Are you kidding me? Obviously, they did not want to talk to me about this presentation. So anyway, I grabbed my laptop, headed out to the patio, and started working on what was I going to talk about today. And I spent a couple hours listing all of the items that we went through in our migration to the cloud. I went through the selection process. I listed out all the different pros and cons we looked at, the benefits we were looking for, what the lessons learned were. I went back and read the abstract for this session, which all of you read to come today, and thought about who's going to be in the audience. And when I got done, I had this nice long PowerPoint presentation with lots of bullet points. So I finally got my kids to come down and at least look at my presentation with me. And you know how they responded, what they said? OMG, Dad, this stuff is boring. Unless, of course, you're the CIO who just moved all their infrastructure to the cloud, or you're the vendor that helped them. We thought it was pretty cool. I do want to take this opportunity and thank you for coming to the session today. I know there's absolutely nothing more exciting in Las Vegas to do. But while you're here, and I didn't even have to text you to get you to come see me, right? I do want to talk about a few key points on our migration to the cloud. And I want to talk to you about this quote. There are 3 types of people in this world. Those who make things happen, those who watch things happen, and those who wonder what happened. In this quote, Mary Kay Ash talks about 3 different types of people. And when I thought about who was going to be in the audience, there's probably 3 different groups of business people here. We have folks in IT, we probably have some business or functional users, and we also have some management folks. So what I like to do today is just talk to you about how each one of those roles can play a part in your migration to the cloud. And I will try not to be boring. When is your company moving to the cloud? Okay. So for those of us in IT, right, our job is to provide the most reliable, scalable, and secure technology platform possible to run the business. Okay? Now, we've already talked about all the benefits of moving to the public cloud today, so I didn't want to reiterate those. What I really want to talk about today is where is your thinking? If you're in IT, have you already come to the conclusion that these cloud providers can provide a more reliable, scalable, and secure infrastructure than what you can in your internal IT department? Or are you still on the fence? Are you still the IT guy keeping all the data under his bed? Either way, I challenge you to be prepared. We're seeing a shift in running ERP on either on-premise or private cloud, and we're seeing that shift to the public cloud, and it's happening very rapidly. Now, part of my job as a CIO is not only evaluating the technology, but also the business risks associated with these moves and these decisions. And before I was a CIO, for 20 years, I was a consultant implementing ERP systems. So for 25 years, I've been implementing ERP. And I will admit, for 23 of those 25 years, I would have never recommended running ERP in the public cloud. But times have changed. I mean, this technology is a game changer. The technology that's running in a public cloud today is more reliable, more scalable, and more secure than what the majority of IT departments are able to provide for their business. Now, that doesn't come without its challenges. 2016 RightScale's survey of the cloud, or State of the Cloud survey, said that the number one challenge with moving to the cloud was access to cloud expertise. And even in 2017, they've already stated that that's tied for number one. Okay? I was meeting with a group of CIOs last week. We were talking about where we were in our organizations moving to the cloud. Unanimously, every single one of them said the most difficult thing they have right now is getting access to IT resources that understand cloud architecture and have those skills to help move to the cloud. So at LSB, we actually did not have those skills in-house. Our IT department didn't have the capability to do this. So we went out and searched for a partner and a vendor to help us with this move. And we ultimately chose EmeraldCube and the Emerald Cloud solution. We are very happy with that decision. I wouldn't be up here talking to you today if we weren't. But that's not my goal today. I'm not here to tell you which vendor fits your technology best or which cloud solution would be best for you. What I do want to do is I want to encourage you, if you're in IT, to get out there and start taking the time to learn the benefits of moving to the cloud. If you have the opportunity, start capturing some of those skills. All right? Don't be the person that sits back and waits for this to happen. And definitely don't be the naysayer who says this public cloud thing isn't going to happen, because you're going to be the one that's wondering what happened to your job. So I encourage you to be that IT person that makes things happen. For all the business folks and the functional users out there, you play a role in the move to the cloud also. A very important role. IT is going to need a lot of support when they make this change. At LSB, our business and functional users were responsible for creating all of the test scripts and then executing all of those test scripts through our migration process. So they were responsible for making sure that our systems were going to run correctly in the cloud. Now, I understand that technically speaking, if you're a business or functional user, you should not even care whether IT is running in a private cloud or on-premise or in a public cloud. You shouldn't care. It should be transparent. And when the time comes for your organization to move from one of those on-premise or private clouds to a public cloud, it should still be transparent. You shouldn't even know about it. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. But chances are you're going to know about this change. And there is one thing that we know about change. Everybody hates change. But there's something else that we know about change too. Organizations don't change, people do. So I challenge you, if you're a functional or a business user, be a change champion. Make the effort to understand what these benefits are of running the systems in the public cloud and help that IT department communicate those changes. Communication is a critical step in this migration. At LSB, we started communicating months ahead of time, and we continue to communicate right through the migration. And we had several of our functional and business users that became change champions and helped us with that communication. And when the migration occurred, and we had a few little issues, not very many, but we had a few, as every migration will, Those business users were right there working with us, helping us get through that change instead of being, there we go, instead of being the grumplepotamus, right? So if you're a functional user, understand what your IT department's going through. Make sure that you can help them with that migration. This is a critical part of the success of moving a business to the cloud. So you have a part in making things happen also. All right, we wouldn't be at a technology conference if we didn't have some Dilbert, right? So this is Dilbert's way of saying, we're not really going to do any work. We're just going to talk about it. So those of us in management, I think it's pretty obvious, a key part of our job is to make things happen. So my advice is very simple to those in management. Don't be the pointy-haired boss, right? Be prepared. I would agree, and I think you will probably agree with me, today, running your ERP system in the public cloud is not the norm. We're a little bit ahead of the game there. But I will tell you that running ERP, the ERP of the future, will run in the public cloud. It is inevitable. The transition is happening, and it's happening very fast. So I want to tell you a little bit of a story about how fast things can change. About 30 months ago, and 30 months is not that long ago. Let me back up a little bit. So I've been the CIO for 6 years at LSB. The first 2 years I spent trying to convince LSB management that it was okay to run our email in the cloud. So even though I was out there trying to make things happen, I was trying to get our email to the cloud, not everybody had bought in yet. So about 30 months ago, I'm sitting in my office on the day of a board meeting, and one of our board members walks into my office. He says, "Hey, Michael, how things are going?" It's like, "You know what? They're going pretty good." I said, "We got a lot of projects going on, but everything's going well." And he replied, "That's great. Just make sure you keep us out of the cloud." And he left. Now, I think everybody in the room here knows what an aha moment is. I had an uh-oh moment. I mean, we had already been running our email in the cloud for over a year. Honestly, that's one of those days where I thought about just going home and updating my resume. But we had a lot of change going on at LSB, and I had to be a part of making that change happen. 6 months after that day, the majority of our board members had changed. 12 months after that, we had a new CEO and a new CFO. So that was about 18 months ago. And there's usually some type of a triggering event that causes a company to make a major change or make a major decision, like moving your ERP to the cloud. It could be a change in management. It could be a shift in your business and you're looking for cost cutting. It could be many things. So at LSB, it was a decision to divest approximately half of our business. I remember the day the CEO called me into his office. And LSB has 2 lines of business. We have HVAC manufacturing and we have chemical manufacturing, completely unrelated. So the CIO called me in his office and the CEO called me in his office and said, "Michael," he said, "we've got offers to sell our HVAC business. And I want to understand what kind of impact that's going to have on IT." And I knew at that moment, I was very glad I had not let that uh-oh moment keep me from making things happen. Because I knew exactly what that meant. That meant it was our time to get out of the infrastructure business and move our entire infrastructure, including our JDE Edwards ERP system, to the public cloud. 9 months later, which is also 9 months ago now, that transaction closed. We spent the first couple of months evaluating our options, vetting our different cloud providers, looking at our options. In October of 2016, we started our migration. 90 days later, I'll get my slide, on January 21st, which we now know is our birthday, LSB moved our entire corporate infrastructure, including JD Edwards ERP and another ERP system, to Amazon Web Services with the help of EmeraldCube. As a member of management, you never know when your CEO is going to call you into the office and ask you that question, should we move to the cloud? So I encourage you to be prepared, be ready, understand the options, and when the time comes, be that person that's ready to make that happen. There are three types of people in this world. Those who make things happen, those who watch things happen, and those who wonder what happened. The ERP of the future will run in the public cloud. There will be those who sit back and watch, and there will be those who wonder what happened to their job. So I encourage you, and I challenge everybody in this room, when your time comes, no matter what your role is take that challenge head on, be a change agent, make sure you have the technical skills, or be the manager that supports that, and make that happen. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Thank you very much. Guys, we're almost here at time. We wanted to take a few minutes real quick for Q&A. We've got the cards that you had earlier. If you would, whatever closest edge you're on, go ahead and just file those off to the side. My fellow cubers, I hereby now deputize you to go collect all cards. So make your way to the edges. Gather those up. Get them to Alexis, please, who's on the far edge there. We'll put them in a bag and do a drawing for those 5 gift cards. Todd, let me go ahead and just kind of turn over to you for some QA.
Yeah, lots of good questions.
We'll wrap up.
Lots of good questions, Jeremy. So this one's for Michael. How did you deal with third-party on-prem applications?
So the question is, how do I deal with third-party on-premise applications? In short, since we're short of time a little bit, the primary objective was to make the environment very similar to what we had on-premise. So we made sure that our network was set up such that those applications continued to run. So our shipping operation still has on-premise connected to the scales that every truck gets weighed on, and it runs and connects directly to our cloud-based ERP solution. So we had no problems with any of the on-premise solutions by designing our network correctly. And then on the integrations, we just kept everything together. That's one of the reasons we moved our entire infrastructure. We have integrations between the ERP systems. So we kept the databases close to the applications, and if we needed to, we run in terminal services mode for other applications. But we kept everything in one environment, and we've had 0 issues with integrations or on-premise applications.
I think the most popular question, I'm going to summarize this, is this one, Marcelo, we might want you to tackle this one. How did the recent S3 outage impact your customers? That's
a great question. So as an Amazon partner, we got a lot of emails saying, hey, you guys were down because there was an outage about a month ago. That outage was for a specific service, and it really did not impact our customers. When you're deploying to any cloud provider, you have to deploy assuming failures will happen. And you have to build resilience and redundancy. And that's what we did with LSB. We had things redundant. We were using different regions. So that outage had 0 impact in our customers. However, I know our help desk system was impacted. So not everyone is planning, for it.
Yeah, let's tackle one final one, and then we'll draw for those cards. Michael, what was the biggest challenge during your migration project?
The biggest challenge, I think, this might sound a little bit cliche, but we actually had no significant challenges with the migration to the cloud. We did upgrade to JD Edwards 9.2 right in the middle of the process.
And 9.2.1 tools, right?
And 9.2.1 tools. So we did a tools and a JD Edwards upgrade in that same 3 months. And so for those of you who are JD Edwards and you're looking at 9.2, there's a couple of major differences. One of the biggest differences was around media objects. And so if there's one area that we had the biggest challenge is we had customizations that read media objects in their current status, and they've really changed the way that JD Edwards handles media objects, and that was probably the most difficult challenge that we had to work through. And that just required redoing some customizations.
Guys, thank you all for being with us this afternoon at the Super Session. We appreciate your time. Have a great week. Enjoy Collaborate.